last 5 games. Just what do you credit that to, and how much has that impacted your success recently?
Just with us trying to get off the ball a little early. I think a lot of our turnovers come from kind of getting in the paint a little too deep, and obviously there's going to be 4, 6, 8 hands there. So just trying to get off the ball early and spread the ball.
With Malik in that starting lineup, there's that stretch like end of first, start of the second, sort of where you're the one running the show. Really, is that an adjustment for you at all, or?
I mean, truthfully, with that group, like with the guys that we have out there, a lot younger guys, and we kind of try to pick up the pace a little bit, try to get some easy baskets. If even makes or misses, we get the ball out quickly. And obviously, when Kev's really shooting the ball well and Keegan's really shooting the ball well, I think it opens it up for a lot of guys. And I mean, like I said, just with that group, we're just trying to pick up the pace a little bit. Obviously, since we don't have, some of our starters out there, guys that we really get the ball to when we slow the game down, we just pick up the pace a little bit.
Mike had talked about, when bringing Malik into the starting lineup, that there's moments where it kind of puts a lot of pressure on you. Do you kind of feel that at all?
I mean, that's totally fine. Like I said, whenever we have that group in, makes or misses, obviously I have the ball in my hands a lot more while we're in that group. So we're just trying to get the ball down the court quickly, try to create advantage somewhere, and make it easier for the guys that I have out there with me.
During this stretch, obviously, it kind of feels like your best basketball as a team that you guys have put together, albeit a little bit of a small sample size. But what do you feel is working, and what's the biggest concern at this time?
I mean, I think when we're really playing well, we have a high assist number, over 30 assists a game whenever we're really playing well. So just the way that we're sharing the ball, the way that we're getting up and down the court and creating shots for each other, I think that's when we're playing the best.
And maybe concern?
I mean, defensively, we have to be able to get stops. Whenever we're turning the ball over, we're not giving ourselves the opportunity to score. I think that's when we've looked pretty bad. Much less just not making shots, but when we're not giving ourselves that chance, that's when the game gets ugly for us.
And this is a silly question in the sense of Jokic. I mean, do you think a lot of his talents, much like Domas to a degree, maybe get kind of taken for granted at sometimes?
I mean, Jokic has won MVP 3 times, so I don't know if we're taking what he does for granted, but definitely with Domas, I think we definitely do.
I have a random basketball question for you. There's so much talk about like how many threes are being shot in today's game. Would you make any rule change in the league, like give one of the corner threes or move the line back, or do you just keep it as is?
I mean, as far as like the NBA, I'm not sure what you could do to really like change the way basketball's played. I mean, I don't know, except for obviously whatever the foul call thing they did at the All-Star break last year that they say they didn't do, but they clearly did. I mean, but as far as like the way teams play, it's funny because I talked to Joe Dumars maybe like 2 weeks ago, and we talked about the same thing. It was like from the standpoint of like coaches and analytics, like you can't, like what can you do? Like once they have what they have, as a team, you try to go out there and you try to execute that plan to the best of your ability. But I mean, it can't really change a rule that would pretty much affect like all teams. So I don't know what you could do about that.
When you look at Denver with Russell on that team, what's different about them this year?
I mean, that's the highest. I don't know if they're the highest paced team, but I think they scored the most in transition this year. They're not shooting the ball as well as they have in the past, but I mean they're not super young, but they're young guys, are athletic, and they get the ball up and down the court quickly. Obviously, when Jokic is taking the ball out, or if he's getting an outlet, like he's getting the ball down quickly. Obviously, adding a guy like Russ who gets downhill, gets the ball up quickly. That's the way that they're playing right now, and I think they're first in the league in points in the paint as well. So for us, much like the Portland game, obviously outside of having a true post presence, we have to be able to defend the paint.
Michael's a superstar now, right?
Look at him.
How big do you feel, I know that team was depleted, but how big of a moment do you feel that was for you guys to maybe even get over the mental hurdle of playing a team like New Orleans?
It was good. It was good, especially how the game ended. They tried to make a comeback, and we fought, and we did whatever it took to get the win.
Did it kind of feel like a must-win, like you had to have a game like that against a team like that?
For sure. We wanted to come in and get that win. We're building on things these last couple of games, so we didn't want to lose that.
What's the most encouraging sign during this stretch with these wins?
Just us keeping calm, cool. there was moments in that game where they made a run or they took the lead, and we stayed together. So that's the most important part.
Jokic on Monday. I know you watch his game a lot. What do you like about his game and try to incorporate into yours?
He just gets everyone involved. He gets everyone involved at the same time, being aggressive, and he's just a complete basketball player. He does a bit of everything. So, I mean, that's basically what basketball is. So it's awesome to watch.
For him, though, just to know when to attack and when also to distribute. Do you watch him how he goes about that at all?
Oh yeah, of course. They run a lot through him. He has a lot of plays for him to score. And he's been with the same group of guys now for a long year, and they got this mental connection.
What's the biggest challenge with that type of matchup when you're going up against someone like that?
Just stay on the floor. For me personally, for this team, I got to be on the floor. So just don't get into foul trouble or give him anything easy. I'm trying to make his life as hard as possible.
You guys haven't had many turnovers these last 5 games or so. What do you credit that to?
Just executing. Getting off the ball early, not trying to split the defense, not trying to be a play hero ball, and that's definitely helped us.
Like we were just talking about, finding that balance of scoring and playmaking. Was it any different last game, or just kind of happened to get
my teammates did a great job of just getting me. I was sealing in the post, playing typical pick and roll game, and they were hitting me. So that's all my teammates.
How much of a benefit, do you feel is being home around the holidays and you got family and all this stuff, just young ones? Is it a benefit to be at home?
Oh, for sure. As a father now, any time at home is definitely a big benefit. Doing good, doing great.
Do you guys have some confidence now, maybe that you didn't have a couple weeks ago? What's the vibe?
For us, our vibes have been the same. I mean, you guys see us after practice. Everyone's laughing, doing good. We know what team we can be, and we're just working together to get there.
Kind of a weird one, but sometimes you can be playing your best basketball and not win games, right?
Yeah.
You've won games now. Do you feel like you guys are playing your best basketball?
We haven't played against the best record teams, so we'll see. It's going to be a great matchup against Denver. But at the same time, you want to be doing these great things and building these habits so we can be prepared for this next game.
How big do you feel of, you guys, it wasn't necessarily the full complement of players that Pelicans had, but to kind of punch through a team like that it had some lineage on you, does that do anything to the psyche of the team?
I don't know. I mean, you would have to ask them because they have a different team. And we have a different team, so I don't know. Yeah, I don't. Maybe, but I wasn't thinking about it that way because again, Valanciunas isn't on the floor, Zion's not on the floor, Brandon Ingram's not on the floor. DeJounte Murray's on the floor who wasn't there last year. Alvarado. So I don't know. Yeah.
Kind of along those lines too, it's sometimes you can play your best basketball and not win games.
Yeah.
Here you are winning games. Do you feel like you're in a stretch of playing your best basketball in this early season?
We've played the right way more minutes than not, and that's what you like to see. You like to try to keep increasing the minutes that you're playing the right way by embracing all the little things that may not show up in a stat sheet or may not be visual to the naked eye, if you can help it. So I like the way we're touching the paint and trying to spray the basketball. We didn't do that against New Orleans in the first half. We had 9 assists. In the second half, we started touching the paint and spraying it, and I think we ended the game with 24 or something like that. And it's a big difference. That's 15 assists in one half, and that's more like us, even though we didn't shoot the ball well. Defensively, we're doing some little things, especially in our pick and roll game, in our closeouts, that don't show up in any stat sheet, but it's the way we're supposed to defend, and our guys are starting to pick it up now a little bit better. Our transition offensively is getting a little bit better. So all those things that, again, don't show up in the stat sheet that we want to do at a high level for 48 minutes are getting better, and you hope that over time they're there for 46, 47 minutes of the game.
What are some of those details that you're looking for defensively that you're just talking about?
Just in the pick and roll game, helping with the big, with the big rolling, making sure we stand him up, making sure that our shifts are impactful shifts, and not just standing there and swiping at the ball trying to go for a steal, but we're playing a little bit of gamesmanship to try to stop the ball, but also knowing that we got to close to the shooter. And when we close to the shooter, having a stick hand to contest. And then the last thing, going back to the pick and roll, is, if you're the bottom weak side defender, doing your work early, because we may screw up our coverage in the pick and roll. And if we screw up our coverage in the pick and roll, we need somebody being there early to help us cover up the mistake that we made in the pick and roll. So just pulling over, being at the midpoint line when we need to, early, instead of reacting to us screwing up or reacting to them beating us in the pick and roll.
We talked so much about Malik's offense, but his defense really popped last game against New Orleans. I'm curious, just from your perspective, last 3 years with him, where have you seen the areas of growth from him defensively?
The biggest thing, I think I said this, I'm pretty sure it was year one, maybe year two. I'll never forget, we were in Minnesota, and we went from Minnesota to Houston. And I set both Malik and Kevin down. And I told him, I said, you guys have played a combined 2,500 plus minutes. And I asked them, I said, do you know how many charges you have between the two of you guys? And they were like, I said, you guys had one. And I said, do you remember the charge? They were like, no. I said, Malik was coming from the weak side to the strong side to help on a drive, and he tripped. And when he tripped, he stood up, he caught himself and stood up and got ran over. I said, that was the one charge. Fast forward, Malik took it to another level. He started getting charges, he started going vertical. Now, Kevin didn't get charges, but he was better with his verticality. Malik took it to a higher level than Kevin by getting charges and also going vertical. And so having a level of physicality off the ball is one of the biggest steps that Malik has improved upon, while also doing your work early. Because if you don't do your work early and having awareness on the weak side, you're not getting there to take a charge, you're not getting there to go vertical. So that's probably his biggest area. And then, Malik, he is a little longer than what you think. For sure, he is more athletic than what you think. He's quicker than what you think. And so all of that with his intelligence bodes well for him to be a really good defender. It's just a matter of whether or not he wants to or doesn't want to, in my personal opinion.
What have you thought of Kevin doing a lot of the little details? Obviously, the shooting is what it is night to night, but it seems like he's rebounding a lot more and more active.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, that's why there are times when, he may not be shooting well, but we're still gonna ride with him, because he does a lot of little things out there, especially on the weak side defensively, being in the right position, making the paint look crowded, all that other stuff. He does a lot of those things that we really, really like, and he's a pretty big guard too.
I have a random basketball question for you. There's so much talk about the three-point shot, and people have ideas of maybe move the line back or eliminate the corner three. From your perspective, as someone that's been around the game for a long, long time, where do you think they should go with it? Cool with where it's at? What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think where it's at is fine. Maybe in time, if players continue to get better, maybe move it back. I don't know, but I like it where it's at now, because one of the things, it's entertainment for the fans. And although I love the 80s and 90s basketball, where it was 75, 77, not a lot of fans really like that. And so if you're going to go backwards to that type of scoring, it may dissuade people from watching the game. And I mean, our game, I think, is in a pretty good place on both ends of the floor. There are some things that we can clean up, but the three-point line is, in my opinion, not one of them right now.
You guys have the lowest turnover rate over these last 5 games. What do you credit that to, and how crucial has that been?
The guys being locked in, trying to play the right way, because at the end of the day, the ball's in Fox's hands. The ball's in Malik's hands. The ball's in Domantas' hands. the ball's in DeMar's hands. And those guys have to figure out a way to make the game not only easy for their teammates, but they got to go get a bucket when they need to get a bucket for us. And if you have that level of responsibility, then your ability to lock in has to be to another level in order for us to be good in that department. Because we can't have those guys, or everybody say, hey, well, they got the ball in their hands a lot, so they're going to, no. If you got the ball in your hands and you're getting paid to have the ball in your hands, then part of making the game easier for your teammates, part of going to get a bucket for yourself, is taking care of the ball too. And I credit those guys for locking in and doing their job, because if they don't,